For just $297.
Live from the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Here again, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Welcome back tonight. The time has come for closing statements, and Vice President Harris, we begin with you.
So I think you've heard tonight two very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past, and an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us, and we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world. I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack, we're not going to take fossil fuel, we're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC News presidential debate from here in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center. I'm Lindsay Davis.
And I'm David Muir. Thank you for watching here in the U.S. and all over the world, and from all of us here at ABC News. Good night.
In my humble opinion,
That is a wrap on the Harris
Donald Trump should be president,
debate now in the book.
with J.D. Vance as vice president.
Analysis, Britt Hume, Dana Perino, Harold Ford Jr., Laura Ingraham, Jesse Waters, plus Sean Hannity will be with us live from the spin room. Well, The topics: inflation, abortion, immigration, January 6th. It took about 40 minutes to get to a question pressing Vice President Harris on the list of changing policies from when she ran for president in 2019, about an hour before foreign policy came up. The first question of the debate: are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Never fully received an answer there. However, Vice President Harris was clearly well prepared, practiced on the offensive much of the night. Former President Trump did take a lot of the bait that she threw out in some of those answers, but he pointed time and again, as he did there at the end, about what she has or has not done as vice president. The question now is, how much does this move the needle?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be said that she was really never held to the fire. She was not pressed by the moderators on her past positions and how she got from a very progressive, most progressive senator to where she is now. And that falls on ABC. And I think there were moments when it felt like
Absolutely.
they were helping her out.
Shameful
and they were
bias
not helping him out.
by
there were times when he
ABC.
didn't pivot as well as he should have to move on to some of the points that he no doubt wanted to make. He went down a few cat and dog holes rather than rabbit holes tonight, which will be discussed, no doubt. I thought the strongest moments were foreign policy, Iran, when he talked about Ukraine, Afghanistan, and that closed. Why haven't you done it?
Okay, let's go around the horn. Britt Hume, thoughts?
Well, I thought the single question that needed to be answered tonight was, Madam Vice President, why have you changed your position? Give us your thoughts on why you changed your position, not just on the small handful of issues that were raised by the moderators, but on a range of other issues. There were like 2 questions on the whole thing all evening. She never had to account for her changes. Never.
She said she'd go down the list. She never really...
She never did. Now, look, make no mistake about it. Trump had a bad night. He rose to the bait repeatedly when she baited him, something I'm sure his advisors had begged him not to do. In the first debate when Biden attacked him, he just kept his cool and kept going. In this debate, he rose to debating, and we heard so many of the old grievances that we'd long thought that Trump had learned were not winners politically. Mm-hmm. And there they all were, talking about how he didn't lose the election and all that. I mean, so my sense is that she came out of this in pretty good shape. Now, how long this will last and is anybody's guess. But for tonight, at least, this was pretty much her night.
You're saying she had a good night?
I'm saying she certainly did.
Sean Hannity's in the spin room. Thoughts on this debate, Sean?
I disagree on other parts of what he said. I think the biggest loser in the debate, and we talked about this pre-debate, is ABC. The fact that we didn't get to fundamental, strong positions that Kamala Harris had taken on very deep and profound issues involving the economy and immigration and ending private health care and defund and dismantle. There's a lot of cliche, a lot of rehearsal that I saw in her performance. Okay, that's fine. That was anticipated. There were a lot of lies that she told about abortion, about Project 2025, about gun confiscation, and that was frustrating on a lot of fronts. I think that the biggest epic fail here is that, we're now 50 days in, and early voting, for example, we're in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania tonight, starts 1 week from tonight, and then it rolls out in all these other swing states that matter. The fact that we don't know if she still supports, free housing, healthcare, education, and sex change operations for illegal immigrants is unfathomable to me after an hour-and-a-half debate. Does she still support defund, dismantle, no bail laws? Do we have an answer on no fracking and no drilling? She didn't say that in 2000. Even CNN fact-checked her after her 16-minute and 29-second debate. We don't have answers on the economy. Bidenomics being a great success. President Trump, I thought, was effective on the issue of, okay, 3.5 years you've been vice president. Why haven't you gotten these things done? And in many, many ways, that pass that she's gotten has been the greatest disservice, I think, tonight to the American people. That's on ABC Disney. That really shouldn't be the other candidate's job to be challenging them, especially when you have muted microphones. We don't know anything about Kamala Harris, and that's frustrating. I didn't hear you. What?
No, that's it. We were listening to you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Let's go to Harold Ford Jr. Harold, your takeaway from tonight.
So I agree with Brett. This has to be thought of by supporters of Donald Trump and people in that campaign as a disappointment. June 27th, we talked about before, was a different kind of collapse for Joe Biden. In some ways, this has to be thought of as a collapse in some ways. I got reaction from Republican friends. The two common things were train wreck and he needs this to end. These are people who support him and I think will continue to support him. I said about Joe Biden that night that he seemed all over the place. He seemed unprepared and unorganized. I get the sense, I think ABC, the moderators could have done a better job. But it's almost like if you're in a basketball game and you go up against playing a team that's taller than you, you don't complain at the end of the game. They're taller than us. We knew that before. He's used to people piling on him. He just didn't seem like he was ready. If you're a voter watching tonight, I was reminded of the great Dennis Green, the former coach of the Vikings, who said they are who we thought they were. And Donald Trump tonight was that guy. Two, she conveyed the calm. She conveyed a preparation. Did she answer all the questions about the switches? No. But I would have thought that he would have raised some of those. I know we said, well, should he have to do that? When you're in a fight for what you believe is the fight for the country and the soul of the country, then you have to be willing to do those things. Finally, she was tenacious on Russia. She had clarity about the future of the country. He was a little too gloomy, I thought. And when asked, I saw around the table, I've never heard Donald Trump not be definitive about a set of plans. He said, I have concepts of a plan. Here we are, 56 days from an election. You've been president before. He's got to recover from this, and we'll see if there's another debate. I hope the two of you are moderating if there is another debate. And if I'm him, I'm asking for one.
Speaking of which, senior advisor to the Harris campaign, Brian Fallon, just sending out, that was fun, let's do it again in October. To that point, Fox has officially invited both campaigns to a debate in October. We have sent a formal invitation, as we had before, and we've renewed that specifically for a debate to be hosted on Fox News in October. We hope they take it up.
Seems like the American people would love another opportunity to see these candidates. It's been such a short window, and they deserve as many opportunities as possible. We certainly hope that they will take us up on that.
Jesse, your thoughts?
I don't think the American people are watching and thinking any of these people won. This was rough. This was pretty intense at times. She started off shaky. She regained her footing. But I thought she was going to come out with some of these memorable lines. All the memorable lines were from Donald Trump. Run, spot, run. Shh, shh, I'm speaking. Does that sound familiar? Wake Joe Biden up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and go get him to sign this thing to close the border. I took a bullet because you said I was a threat to democracy. And they're eating the pets. You know, you watch this thing, if you're a Democrat, you're like, oh, she did a great job. She was much more forceful than Joe Biden. If you're a Republican, you look at this and you're like, that's Donald Trump. He had some moments where you were like, oh my God, where are we going with this? And then he just had some great knockouts. And so this race just got tighter.
That's probably true. We're going to see what exactly that looks like. We are just getting started on our analysis, a pivotal night in the 2024 campaign. Our coverage continues right after this very short break.
Stay right.
When Harris brought up Charlottesville and the Fine People hoax, that was a great opportunity for the moderators to push back because that's an obvious one, and they didn't do that. So I think that if there's a grievance on that part, you'll see it. I do think that he won on points on his first answer about the economy, and then his last answer was good. So if you only watch those two parts, and if you're like first impression and last impression, you might leave with an impression that he did all right. I'm surprised that her team came out already and offered a second debate because, in my opinion, I don't think she needs it because she has shown that she doesn't have to do anything. Doesn't have to do media or anything. And now all of her surrogates and her spokespeople can say, she already answered that. She already answered that. So they could just try to figure out a way to coast, bring all that money in and try to spend it and try to win Pennsylvania, which is key for her.
Yeah, but you know, it's all about the swing states, Laura, obviously. And if her people look at tonight and they say, look, she did well, her confidence is growing, she wants to reach out and try to win those swing states, we should do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of all this, she prepared for a couple weeks. She moved the points a little bit on the betting markets. But in the end, we all know what we knew before, that ABC's goal tonight was to help Kamala Harris. And ABC did help Kamala Harris. Now, did Donald Trump miss a few opportunities?
Amen.
Absolutely. Did she miss a few opportunities? Yes, she did, especially when he said, "You're right, I fired those people because I fire people who are incompetent." I thought that was one of the strongest moments of the debate. There's very little accountability in all of government, and this has happened across administrations. So I think in the end, if the steel workers in Pennsylvania want to keep their jobs, if the auto workers in Michigan want to keep their jobs, they see this debate and they see one person standing up for them, and it's still Donald Trump.
But Britt, you know, you look at the CNN interview with Dana Bash that she does alongside her nominee, Tim Walz. This is a different person who was well prepped,
Absolutely.
well prepared, had answers,
Not
and knew where she was going.
Not only a different person from the person she was in that interview on CNN, but a different person from the absolute dunderhead so many of us thought she was during her conduct as vice president, when she would come out with these ludicrous statements that started nowhere and ended in midair.
Unburdened by the past.
Unburdened by common sense. And here she was tonight. She was composed. She was prepared. She kept her cool. She saw advantages. She took them. She baited him successfully, which is the story of the debate in my view. So she came out ahead in this, in my opinion, no doubt. Now, whether it'll move the needle in the race, very few things seem to, but that remains to be seen.
What are you going to say? Does it move the needle, then?
It may or may not. But think about this. Most people didn't know her. They heard the lead up that she was going to be unprepared, that she was a cackler, that she had mismanaged things. You watch this tonight, and you don't know much about this. You say, all right, when am I going to see that person? Because you saw a different person this evening. Now, I'm delighted that there's going to be a second debate. At least there's an eagerness and a willingness on the part of them to do it again. Because I think these questions should be asked of the vice president about the shift in positions. But what I don't get, and all of you all, I respect everybody on this panel, why didn't he ask these questions of her? I mean, if you believe that your candidacy is that important to the country, I didn't say be mean-spirited about it. He had some moments where he was a little mean. He could have asked the question about the shifting positions. Now, should the moderators have done it? No doubt. But if I was on that stage, I would have asked those questions. Tonight, she won.
If she's asking for another debate, though, they don't think she won this debate, hands down. They would be, to Dana's point, saying, mic drop, we're done.
Yep.
They don't think that she's in a position right now to win this race.
Well,
they need another debate.
I don't disagree. I think it's an even race. I just think she won tonight.
Let's hope that they say yes. And again, we have the formal invite out there. This has been quite something because there was a lot of build-up to this moment.
Yeah.
There was a lot of build-up. The question is, how many people watched for how long? And how much did it move this race? Because it's as tight a race as we have ever seen in this country.
And last time we sat here, Joe Biden was running against President Trump, so who knows what's going to happen next. Thank you all for tuning in tonight and joining us for the presidential debate.
And thank you for joining me, Travels with Dr. John Stephenson, on YouTube and Facebook. God bless you and have a great day. 859-750-0000.